Are you a teacher who is interested in tutoring but don't even know where to start with prices? My name is Rebecca Beard and I own a local tutoring company and I currently staff over 40 teachers with clients. In today's video, I'm going to go over how to do market research for your tutoring services and with a little bonus of how to raise prices on your current clients. I have done some research even on TikTok and deep research around, and tutors are charging a really wide range of prices. I hear everything from $20 an hour to even $250 an hour. So it's really hard as a new person in business just to figure out what you are going to actually price. Before you get into pricing though, most people do not think about exactly what they are selling. And the big thing behind this is niching down. So for example, if you are a math teacher and just dang good at math, you can easily say, hey, I'm going to market and sell services from kindergarten through college math because I can do kindergarten math all the way through Calc 3. That's great and all, but it's not very marketable. So what you have to do, first of all, is you have to niche down before you nail down your prices. The best way to do this, for example, our high school math teacher, is to think about what they are excellent in, what they do all the time, and kind of broad range just a little bit. So for my high school math teacher, I would suggest that they market 6th through 12th grade math only because that's what they're really, really good at. And then you're going to have a better gauge of how you effectively run your prices. One thing to not factor in when you're niching down is if you have a master's degree, especially a master's degree in education, most parents don't factor that in or honestly even care, as harsh as that sounds, but we are not going to factor that into the prices. You can put that behind your name, but I just want to set the stage that it's not super helpful to include. So once you nail down your tutoring niche, is you really have to effectively research your area. If you are really set on tutoring clients online, this is not going to quite apply to you, but these tools still can be helpful. So for example, some of my favorite things to research if I'm adding a new tutoring service or if I'm just checking rates, if we're considering raising them, is these key websites. So I love Wyzant. You can easily search on there for your area. ChatGPT deep research mode is always a good option. Perplexity is one of my favorite research AI tools, and I love running it on deep mode. You can also check Facebook local groups, and controversially, you can even cold call local tutoring companies in your area. We personally do that. There's a lot of slack against that, but most people in business do market research that way. The way you do the cold calls, the tutoring companies, is you search them, you call them looking for tutoring for your child to effectively get your prices. If you have a problem with that, that's totally okay, but I want to at least give that as an option. For the purposes of this video, to best illustrate what I'm talking about, I am going to give a sample case of someone who is interested in tutoring in, for an example, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've actually been there. It's a really nice city. And I believe it's a little bit of a mid-range for pricing. So what we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on the location and the service. So the way I do that is I just type in math tutoring in Tulsa, just literally in Google search. So what you will do is you will scroll down, you'll look through some options. Some things I need to discourage of. You've got places like SuperProf. They market super, super low. I typically don't look at their prices. And then you're also going to see things that are big box companies. You can easily cold call and ask their prices. Just don't be sketch about it. But a lot of the Mathnasium, Sylvans, and all that stuff do not post their prices online. I haven't seen it posted before. But as I'm looking through, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click this Wyzant of top rated math tutors in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And what's really interesting is I'm checking their hours. I'm checking a little bit about them. And so what I'm seeing consistently in this area is you've got $25 an hour, you've got $80 an hour, you've got $50 an hour, $50 an hour, $40 an hour. And all of these people have a lot of hours. What most people also don't think about is sometimes people will have a lot of tutoring hours that they did really, really cheaply, and then they suddenly bump up the price. But comfortably, just seeing that people are able to get anywhere from 40 to 50 an hour and even 80 an hour, you could comfortably charge 60 to 80 an hour in Tulsa, Oklahoma, especially if you are experienced and create a really good bio. Another place I would also check is just local tutoring companies. So whenever you put in Google search, their Facebook pages come up too. And so on this one, it's Donnie P's Math Tutoring. And what I would do is I would scroll down. He's got some great photos of working with kids, which is always awesome marketing. And then I click on his link in the bio. And his is kind of unique because unlike some, he actually posts his prices online. And so if you click on tutoring sessions, you've got your single sessions are pretty much $80. You've got double sessions and triple sessions here. And so he's doing a little bit of package pricing. That is just a couple of ways to market research, but you really have to think into this whole picture of not just how much you're taking home at the end of the day, but what is going to be sustainable for your business. Because you always have to remember, you can think that $20 an hour is great and it's some extra money in the bank, but the problem is when you factor in taxes and all the setup supplies, you have to think on a little bit of a higher scale. I'm also going to give one more example for a place that's known for a little bit higher cost of living. So what I'm going to type in here is a math tutoring in Boston. So much bigger city. Most people know that is a higher cost of living. And what I would do is I would scroll down. You need to factor in, obviously, that it's a more expensive place. If you're living in Boston, you know you're paying more to live. And so I would first always click on the Wyzant profile. And what I like is they sort out. So what I'm seeing is 125, 75, 90, 195, 85 an hour, and then a low one for about 50 an hour. And the highest I'm seeing is about 155. So the way I would think through that is I'm like, okay, I can comfortably charge at least $100 an hour in Boston. And then I would even click on the math tutoring page. And then I would start looking for of what other prices I can see. But it's really helpful just to look at other tutoring companies, look at Wyzant. You can even contact Varsity Tutors, but they are a national company, so their pricing is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so you've seen how to find your prices. And maybe you're asking yourself, well, shouldn't I charge lower because I'm newer? Not necessarily. If you are good at tutoring and teaching, you should go ahead and start comfortably higher. That's something I did not do. And I'm at the point where we've had to slowly and painfully raise prices, which I'm going to address at the end. So one thing to think about is the higher you charge, honestly, the more people will respect you. And I don't mean that in a harsh way, but if you are only charging, I've been saying a lot of $20 an hour, but let's say you're in Boston only charging $30 an hour, people are only going to think that is all you're worth. If you are charging a little bit higher and maybe offering military or teacher discounts, you're going to go ahead and set the precedence for good respect from that point. Now, a caveat is if you are having consistently having parents tell you that they cannot afford your tutoring, this is what I would do instead. I would offer them bulk prices. You can do an intro session for maybe a little bit of a lower price. I never do free intro sessions. And if you want a video about that, feel free to drop that in the comments. But with bulk pricing, you get more money up front, which is great. And at the same time, then you can reuse it to reinvest in your business. And then the parent feels like they're winning too because they are getting a discount. Okay, so we've covered a little bit about nailing down your niche, researching your area, a high cost of living and a mid cost of living area, a little bit of some bulk bundling. And then now the bonus at the end is, what do you do if you are currently tutoring clients and you absolutely need to raise your prices? So this is what we are doing, and it's worked pretty well, is we are giving a long range plan for parents. We are warning them. We are doing it at a major transition. For us, it's the start of the school year, so that was an easy plan. But we are giving parents at least 60 to 90 days notice that their prices are going up. And that's really important because you're being honest, you're not surprising them, and honestly, they are less likely to get annoyed. They are going to be factoring in a lot of things. They're going to be factoring in, is your time worth it? Are they having progress with their kid? All of that stuff. But if you are giving them reminders from at least, I would say at least 60 days, 90 days is a little bit better, then you are going to give them, honestly, you're going to have a more positive relationship, but you're going to give them a little bit of a heads up and a little bit of a mental warning. One thing to think about when you're raising your prices is if you're wondering about how much to raise it, there is a lot of negotiations out there. We've been fussed at for a $10 price increase. We've been fussed at for a $5 price increase, but we've also done price increases on certain services up to 25% and no one cared. So you really have to think about what service are you providing? What is it actually worth? And what is going to least upset your families? And a really good margin to do a leap is about 10%. If you are interested in learning more about pricing or just growing your tutoring business, I would love to meet you in the comments. I'm also going to link my link tree below where we are going to start a newsletter just to give you tips and tricks and hopefully one day start a beta program for tutor coaching. I look forward to seeing you in the comments and good luck on growing your business.